Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's time for the Brown Sports Bag. From the heart of the Barrens, a weekly local sports machine. Alongside John Butler, here's your host, James Brown.
John, you just don't know how many people asked me last week if you were okay.
I am this week.
You are indeed. And not only are you okay, I think you're headed off to do some basketball broadcasts with Jay Turner this evening, right?
That is correct. Doing the doubleheader tonight in the girls' region.
Yeah, so you can listen to that on 104.7 with John and Jay later on. And what's first game? Bowling
Green? First game's Bowling Green and Todd Central.
Should be ugly.
Should be close. I don't know how compelling it's going to be.
Right.
And the second game should be really good. Warren East and Metcalf.
A lot of scoring in the second game. Probably not much in the first one.
A lot. It's going to be a lot more than the first game.
Yeah, that's right. But meanwhile, we have Glasgow softball coach Katie Arbec here to talk to us about the Lady Scotty season that swings into action 2 weeks from today, I think it is.
Yep, 2 weeks.
Yep, and so I guess, last year was your first year at Glasgow, and I guess my real question for you is, what did you learn from that season to this season in terms of getting ready for this season and that kind of thing?
I think the biggest thing I probably learned, which is something that I'm not used to coming from college to high school, is it's dealing with like the emotional side of it is a little different. And I think I had scheduled some really tough games for us last year, hoping to motivate us.
Yeah.
I don't know if we quite managed that. So this year we still have some tough games on there, but not as many. I want us to win games and be confident in what we're doing, but also prepare us for districts, because that's what is most important at the end of the season. So we need those tough games in there, but maybe not as many as I put on the schedule last year.
Well, and I guess you kind of had a young team last year, but you had a few seniors, but you ended up relying on a lot of younger players before it was all said and done. And I guess when you're trying to get a program turned around, maybe seeing some wins is beneficial.
Yes. Yeah, it is definitely beneficial. It just helps. All it takes is one win. Like that's all it takes to, change the tide and turn the emotions up. So it definitely helps. You get two or three losses here, but that one win is like, okay, you know what? We can do this. Like it's not all about the losses. It's a win changes everything for them.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, just going back from what you learned from last year, one of the things that I noticed is that your record is probably not what you want, 6-19, but you got better as the year went on. I thought that was good. And the other good thing is, too, I've always said that if you're going to lose, it's good to lose with young players.
Yes.
Who you can see, especially down the road, developing into good players with experience and so forth. And this roster is young. You've got some seventh graders too, but I've just kind of heard through the grapevine too. Your middle school program the last couple of years, and some of your young kids and travel ball players they've got some talent coming up. Yeah,
we definitely have. There's a handful of those really younger girls that are going to be really good for the program. And that is something that, you get these young teams, and that's what everybody focuses on. It's like, oh, well, you're young, and so you're not going to win games. But sure, maybe we will, maybe we won't. But the biggest thing is, 7th and 8th graders, right? Okay, so 7th grade's 2 years out of high school. But that gives them 6 years to play at the high school level. I mean, that is insane. Like an insane amount of experience to have come their junior, senior year, to have already been playing these teams and at that caliber and at that level of pitching. I mean, seeing pitching as a 7th grader in 7th grade is very different to seeing pitching as a 7th grader to a junior. I mean, just the age difference and the experience level it's incredibly different. And so by the time those 7th and 8th graders become juniors and seniors, their experience is through the roof. So some people look at it as kind of like a negative, or I wouldn't say negative, but just not a positive to have as many young players. But I think it is super good for the future of the program.
I'd rather be young and talented than old and not very good.
That's true.
Key to success right there.
That's right. Young and talented is generally a better option.
Yeah. One of the things that kind of stood out to me from last year is you ended up having to put a seventh grader in the circle quite a bit, Kerrigan Hagan. And really, I thought she pitched well in the district tournament.
Yeah.
And I thought she pitched well in a number of games as the season went along. And she wasn't overpowering people with strength, but she threw it pretty hard. But she seemed to have a pretty good motion on the ball and that kind of stuff. And that confidence seemed to be, to blossom as the season went along.
Yeah. It's hard to be that young and to step in and face. She faced Katie Murphy how many times? We just went to the WKU UK softball game this weekend and got to see Katie Murphy playing in the WKU uniform.
Starting her freshman year.
For her to be so young and to face somebody that many times and not, I guess, be afraid, and to just go up there and do your job as a pitcher. And if she hits, she hits. If she doesn't, she doesn't. That is fantastic. So that is something that was really good to see from Kerrigan. I'm just going to go in and do my job as pitcher. I'm going to just throw the ball, and then what happens is what happens. So
yeah. Well, and you do, you bring back, I think, pretty much the infield that you had last year for the most part. There may be you had 2 or 3 seniors. I think Ellery Haynes in center field was one of them. She was kind of key to the team.
Yes.
So you did lose some experience, especially in some key spots. But I remember, I think Natea Lightfoot played quite a bit in the infield. Jakayla Green the whole year. So you've got a number of those players coming back.
Yeah, definitely. Ellery was a big impact, especially in the outfield. That is a hard position to fill. But Sydney Kuykendall, she's going to fill that position. She's great out there. But Taya's really good. She might not have the experience, but she's got a lot of talent. She's got a lot of heart. And I think that's something that's going to be important for us this season is bonding as a team, playing for each other, and just having heart and grit. Because when you're young, sometimes that's just what you need.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, tell me what your goal-wise, not how many wins or district titles. What do you want to see as this year goes on? You want to see, you already mentioned you'd like to see some more wins, right? Just because of the confidence and schedule-wise, but style of play or anything in particular that you're kind of like to see out of this group? I know you got some pretty good young athletes too.
Yeah.
So I assume base running and those type of things could be something that you're interested in.
Yeah. I would definitely like to see us be a little more aggressive on the bases this year. I just don't think I don't know if I was kind of teaching a new style of base running to them, or if they're just not used to being super aggressive. But I want us we're looking for another 60. Finding that opportunity and going for it.
If you get thrown out, you get thrown out.
Right, but we get, you're not ever going to score. You're not going to get that opportunity if you don't push for it and take that extra 60. So I would really like to see that. And then I just want them to grow game to game. I don't want us to focus too much of okay, well, last week we lost to this team or we lost to this team. And I don't even want it to be oh, well, we beat this team the last time that we played them. I just want us to grow from game to game, focus on, the positives. Last game we made, 3 errors, three fielding errors. This game we're only going to make 1. Instead of, I think sometimes we get a little too broad in what we want to focus on, as a team and for our season, and that can get kind of overwhelming for them when they're so young.
You got to stay in the moment, don't you?
Yeah, and so I think this year, just narrowing it down and focusing on smaller things, game to game, week to week, it's going to be really important for us.
Yeah, you mentioned the schedule. You guys open 2 weeks from today against Monroe County at home at 5:30. When you're getting ready for that first game, and I guess you have a couple of scrimmages. When are your scrimmages?
We have a scrimmage this Friday at home against Somerset, and then a scrimmage on the 13th at home against Russell County. So two new schools I don't think that we've played before. I'm excited for those.
Yeah. So as you're getting ready for that first home game, what are you telling your players to expect from that first game?
Just go out and ball. I don't we've got those 2 scrimmages, right? A lot of our girls play other sports, so I know that they're in shape. I know that they've been moving around, that kind of stuff. But really, until we get into games, I won't see where we're at of, how we're playing the field and, knowing where we're supposed to be going and what are we seeing off live pitching. So that first week, really, I just want to use this as kind of where are we at? Like, what do I need to work on in our next practice to get us to where we should be?
You feel good defensively? Do you think you'll have a good defensive team?
Always. I mean, our girls are super athletic. I mean, whether some of them are really athletic and could use some fine-tuning on skills, which is you can make up with it with your athleticism. I've seen it.
Right.
And some of them are just really good with their skills. So either way, I think if they go out there and –
because obviously that makes your pitching better.
Yes.
You
Yeah, it
limit
makes
the
it a
amount
little
of
easier
outs
for
that
them.
your free outs and so forth. That's obviously, one of the keys, because there's not a ton of just pitchers around that are going to strike out 18. So, so even your good pitchers, somebody's got to make plays, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's always you got to make it. And I've told them since I got there last year, it's like, if you go 100% for me and you miss the ball, I'm okay with that. What we can't do is not go 100% and miss the ball. That is a different story. So I think I've got it into their heads by now. Like, outfield, like, go dive for the ball. If you dive for the ball and you miss it, somebody's got your back. But at least you went for it instead of you just, like, waited back and then you bobbled the ball because you sat.
Right.
So that'll be, like you said, for the pitching. I mean, that helps, knowing that your defense is just going to go all out for you.
Do you think being more aggressive defensively also makes your pitcher feel better because they know that the defense is – I guess it demonstrates to them that the defense is putting in a maximum effort to try to make plays?
Yeah, personally, like, from my perspective, yes, but also in certain scenarios. Like, there are some scenarios, if my outfield goes to dive for a ball, I'm like, that might not have been the smartest decision based on, like, outs, where you're at, like, runners on base, like, that kind of stuff. But, like, as a pitcher and as a coach, like, yes, having that thought in the back of your mind of, like, oh, I know my defense is going to work hard for me here. That helps. But sometimes they can go too hard and you're like, maybe we can tone that down just a little bit.
Right. Mentioning the rest of your schedule, obviously you play in a pretty strong district. Allen County, Scottsville, good year in, year out. Barron County, good year in, year out. Warney's good year in, year out. Glasgow's had some good teams in the past. Been the fourth wheel in the district the last few seasons. What about your players in terms of, are you guys getting ready for the district? I mean, what is the message that you send to them on that?
It's always the same. Just keep working. Like, it's game to game. You can't look at district county game when you haven't even played Barron one time. You can't look at the second Barron County game when you haven't even played them the first time. And then when you get to that second game, don't worry about what you did the first time, because this is a whole new ball game. They might not have the same people today, so it might be 70 degrees and sunny, and the first time we played them it was 40 degrees and windy. So, like, it is game by game, and we're that's how we're going to take it, no matter if it's a district game or not.
Yeah. Now, I noticed you guys are playing at LaRue County in the Abe Classic this year. Are there any other of these, like, Saturday tournament things you guys are planning to play in?
Yes. Yeah, we were at LaRue County last year. We only played one game there, but I was like, I like this. Let's go back. But we're actually going to host two of our own.
Okay.
We have one coming up at the end of March, and we're hosting Bowling Green and LaRue County.
Okay.
And then we've got one at the end of April, and we're going to host Henry Clay from Lexington, and I'm still waiting on another team. A couple teams want that spot, but they're waiting on their 2A to just see where they land in that 2A tournament. So, but the goal is we're going to have another game that day too. So trying to branch out and get teams outside of the area that we wouldn't normally see.
Right. Anything else you want folks to know about your team this year?
Just come out and watch. It'll be fun. These girls are excited. They love softball. They have a ton of energy. They're going to be fun games to watch. So if you got time, come out and watch.
All right. Anything else, John?
No, and some of the games are going to be on the radio, right?
Yeah. I do know we'll be broadcasting some of the softball games, Lady Scotty's softball games, on 103.1. I don't know who will call the games because we haven't gotten that deep into that. Basketball's still going on the radio side of the world, so we're still trying to work out the logistics on that. But yeah, folks can pay attention to that. We'll have some of those games out there. I know.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach Katie Arbec, for joining us and talking about the Glasgow Lady Scotties softball team.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Well, John, we didn't get the chance to talk about this because the game was after we did our show last week, and that's Glasgow's boys basketball team upsetting Warren East in the first round of the district tournament, which then led them to reach the district final where they played Barron County, and the Trojans won the championship game. But it's 2 years in a row, just to start with this, that the Scotties have had less than impressive, honestly, regular seasons, and then pulled off an upset of Warren East in the first round of the district tournament. And both times, like last year, it actually made a little more sense because, you know, they were close all year, but in a lot of games. And then, you know, we knew they had the talent last year to do it, and they did it with a dramatic shot from John Carter Walbert. But this year, it was just grit and grind to win the game. And at the end, I had to ask Coach Stockton, I mean, what is it that you guys can't figure out how to win regular season games, close games? I mean, because they lost a bunch of them where they just had a bad quarter or a bad few minutes or whatever of a game. But you can come in here and win this district tournament. And he said, well, you got to believe you can do it. And I guess they believed. I don't know the answer. That sounds as good as any answer I've ever heard. But they did it again, John.
Well, I mean, they're 5-22, and 4 wins?
Yeah.
4 of the 5 are within the district, right?
That's right. They beat Warren East twice. They beat Allen County twice.
That's correct.
And I don't even remember the other one.
So, I mean, there's you know, we've talked about all year. I think the frustrating part about Glasgow is if you just watch them play for 10 minutes, if you watch the good side of them for 10 minutes, you go, this is a good basketball team.
That's right.
So some of it is obviously the injury to Jarek Martin, but a lot of it is just, I think, concentration has something to do with it at times, losing focus and so forth. But, you know, just getting to the Warren East win, it's 74-68 in overtime.
Yeah.
And it took Glasgow was down 2 with 4 seconds to go, and they went the length of the floor, JoJo Driver, and makes they're probably going to call it a layup, but it was not exactly a layup. It was more of a, probably 4-foot out shot. It was not easy.
It was like a finger roll off the glass.
So it was not an easy shot.
No.
And, you know, the one thing about JoJo Driver is, you know, the last couple of years I've watched him play, he can make big shots.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when the lights are the biggest, he tends to play well. And you know, he played well. He had 20. And Jarek Martin is kind of the same boat. He had 18 points. And they had 4 in double figures. Jalen Bradley had 14, and Nunley had 12. I think 3 threes and so forth. And Warren East had several opportunities during that game to put Glasgow away.
Yeah, they did.
Several opportunities. And I didn't think Warren East played with great discipline. I thought Glasgow was a much more disciplined team than Warren East. Warren East is up in I think late in the third, early in the fourth, and they took like a 7-point lead, and one of the players gets a technical.
Yeah, right.
Things like that. And
Yes.
It just seemed like Warren East was almost entirely one-on-one between 2 players, their point guard, Prince and Bratcher, basically, and a lot of one-on-one play and so forth. And I know it's disappointing for Warren East to have a better record and arguably better teams the last 2 years, but they've fallen short both times. And you know, that's frustrating. But give Glasgow credit. We talked about it here when we was previewing the game. That talent-wise, not a lot of difference.
No.
Record-wise, big difference, but talent-wise, not a ton of difference between the two. And that Glasgow, if you told me Glasgow was going to win that district game, I would not be surprised at all, because I thought they were good enough. And I thought, having such a rotten year, the one thing you have redemption for is that first round of the district in front of the biggest crowd you can play in front of, and they sure showed up.
Yeah.
Made big plays down the stretch.
Yeah, it was a good win, and it was good to see those guys, especially that group of seniors who have not had the careers they probably thought they could have. But you know, it's in terms of wins, not necessarily. I mean, they've won the district tournament games, so I guess in a way they have. But in terms of just raw wins, they haven't. But you're right. I mean, JoJo Driver is one of those seniors, and in those kinds of games, he is a guy that just seems to step up in the moment.
Yes.
And it's impressive. And I don't know what you do about the regular season, but
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. I mean, so that's they won the game that they needed to win. I guess that they really wanted to win, if you get right down to it.
Right.
But in the district final, I thought, going back to the discipline thing, I thought Barron County, they got the lead there, I think, in the third quarter, and they did play with the discipline, and made some big shots to win the district tournament.
Well, let's talk about how Barron got there first.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Barron knocked off Allen County and Scottsville, which most people expected, but we also said last time we were together that game we thought would be close.
Yeah.
And it was 50-43. I mean,
Yeah.
Allen County just didn't roll over and play dead. I mean, Barron had to work hard and to finally pull it out kind of late. I thought they made a lot of good plays down the stretch. I thought Bray Bewley was really good that game.
Mm-hmm.
He had 11 points. The stats-wise, I had him with 6 rebounds. I thought he had about 10.
It felt like it.
He did.
It felt like he had 10 in the fourth quarter.
Right. Kate Hardy made some big shots down the stretch, too. He had 10 points, made a couple big threes, too. And Barron just kind of looked like a team that has been there and knew how to play late in a game.
Yeah.
And you may could say that against Glasgow too. And Barron got that.
It did have that same feeling.
And then Barron moves to the district finals, and the Barron Glasgow games have been decided by 2 points the first 2 games. And this time it was close. It was close for most of the game, but Barron really pulled away late in the game, 66-53. Tate Spillman has the best game that I've seen him play this year. He had 19 in the first half.
Right.
In fact, at one time he had 19 out of the 23 points. He was unbelievably good. Ended up with 27. It's kind of hard to continue to carry that over, but he had 19 against a good defender. Jarek Martin was on him for a while and had some others, but he was really, really good. Decker had 12 and 10. And really the difference, in a 66-53 games, sometimes you're looking at what's the difference. Well, Tate Spillman is the biggest difference, 27. But it came down to 3-point shooting. Barron was 9 of 19, which is outstanding. Glasgow was 0 for 10.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to win a game when you get outscored 27-0.
Right. Yes, that's right.
From the 3-point line.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's ultimately what it came down to. Barron just shot the ball considerably better than Glasgow. Jalen Bradley had 17, Martin had 12, but you just can't overcome a 27-point deficit from a 3-point line.
Yeah, it was a case. Tate was hot like right out of the gate. And the Trojans, the rest of the team seemed to feed off of how well he played just right out of the gate.
Right.
And Glasgow just never, unlike against Warren East where they hit all the big shots when they had to, they couldn't make any of them in that game.
Well, I think it's also where Barron's down the stretch guards. They didn't turn it over much, got kind of the shots they wanted, and then Barron went to the free throw line in the fourth quarter in particular, made the free throws down the stretch. And just consequently, Glasgow could never get in that run. Whereas Warren East sometimes was shooting quick, Barron is a little bit more methodical on the offensive end.
Yeah. Now, the reward that both of them get is Barron drew Warren Central to play in the first round of the region.
Warren Central had lost to Bowling Green by 2 in the district finals. Not that it matters between those two teams.
Right. I think Bowling Green's now won the district 5 years in a row, and Warren Central's won the other 4 years of the regional title, I think is the way it works out.
I'm not for sure.
But it's close to that. I think Warren Central's not won a district title in like 6 seasons or something like that. But anyway, and then Glasgow gets to play Bowling Green in the first round. So it was a 14-15.
For the district.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but, in the boys' district, win or lose, you have a 33% chance of drawing or being drawn by one of the Bowling Green schools.
Oh, yeah.
The 2 heavy hitters.
Yeah.
So, and if you so happen not to draw them, you're going to play one of them in the semifinals.
Yeah.
It's a tough – it's not an easy draw, so, your best hope is to draw anybody but the Bowling Green schools, and so happened Barron and Glasgow both drew the 2 best teams.
Which that transitions us to the girls, because the girls region is much more interesting. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about the district tournament, because I thought the Barron County Trojanettes proved that they were the best team in the district, and they played. We knew they were coming
Yeah, I
in,
was gonna say,
but
yeah.
sometimes these district tournament games can go a little bit sideways on you.
Well, it did last year.
Yeah, but this time it did not. I mean, they just absolutely played at their capability in both games in the district tournament, I thought.
Well, they started off by beating Glasgow 73-38, and give a little credit to Glasgow. I thought that Glasgow played the first half about as well as they could play.
Yeah.
Especially the first quarter. They may have either led or was tied going in the first quarter, and I think Glasgow may have only scored like 10 points total in the second half.
Right.
So they put up some serious points in the first half and played with Barron until and did a good job of breaking. I thought they did a good job of breaking Barron's press and then made open threes off of it.
Yeah.
I think Glasgow had 5 or 6 threes, maybe 18 of their 38 points were through through three. In particular, Cynthia Austin, her last game, she played well. She had 15 points, and the seventh grader Reese England had 12. I think she had 3 threes maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So, give Glasgow credit, but just way too much. Barron Bird had 16. Katie Elmore had a really good tournament. She had 13
She
points. Slagle off the bench against her former teammates had 11. Mahala Burton had 10. Just too much Barron. That set up the final against a good Warren East team. Warren East has won 20 games this year,
Mm-hmm.
and
beat Allen County handily in the first game.
wasn't even close. Which
No.
that surprised me more than anything.
Yeah.
I thought East would probably win. I didn't think they'd blow them out, and they did. Wasn't even competitive. And Barron 62-46.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing right now. If you look at what makes Barron more and more dangerous right now is their scoring.
Yeah.
When you're putting up points like that, then you are Barron's always going to be good defensively. They're long. They're well coached on the defensive end. It's can they score enough points, and they are. And again, Elmore, I just thought she was outstanding in the whole tournament. She had 15, and Bird 13. Gerald's who's playing well too had 10, and they beat a good team and kind of going away from Warren East because Warren East they're loaded with a bunch of seniors who have confidence. So, they've been good the last couple of years and so forth. But Barron's size, they're just bigger at almost every spot than Warren East. I think it gives Warren East problems.
Yeah, and Warren East they got open threes and hit open threes against Allen County in the first game.
World of difference between Allen and Barron defensively.
And Barron just clamped down on that.
Allen is not a real good defensive team.
No.
They play a lot of zone.
Mm-hmm.
Their shots there, man-to-man, they're just not a great defensive team, whether foot movement or just commitment from some of their players.
Right.
Barron is in a different atmosphere defensively. So I never thought that was going to carry over for
No,
Warren East.
I didn't either.
I just never thought that because it takes again, Barron is almost never bad defensively.
Mm-hmm.
The question is sometimes they struggle a little bit offensively, but they are rarely bad defensively.
Well, that leads us to the regional tournament game on Sunday afternoon because Barron shot the three well both in the first 2 games there at that district tournament. And then when you go to Diddle Arena, you're not going to hit the threes, especially in that first game.
First game.
Yeah, that first game, you're going to have to earn your keep inside. And in the end, that's exactly what Barron did against Cumberland County. They had the depth advantage because I think Cumberland, they ended up playing 6, but they really only played 5. They put 1 in because somebody got injured briefly. And then they defended them and eventually just wore Cumberland County down and pulled away in that game too yesterday.
Well, I thought Cumberland County played well,
They
especially
did.
early.
Yes.
And again, I thought Piper made a good decision eventually because I was texting Robert Bauer at the time is that press-wise against Cumberland County, I didn't think that was real effective because it actually opened the floor up for Cumberland County. And once kind of Barron slid out of that and just guarded them on the half court, Cumberland County almost got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
And again, it just comes back to defensively. Barron didn't have any giants out there. I mean, I guess Hannah Bragg is their biggest player, but they are just long. I mean, Bird and Atkinson and Mahala Burton, and then you throw Elmore and Gerald's. I mean, you've got really good size, and as long as they keep you in front, which they normally do, I mean, that's kind of what happened. Cumberland County has all 5 starters back. They'll be really good next year.
Yeah.
But Barron will be pretty good too.
Right.
So, it's a good win for them, and that sets up, obviously a huge game tomorrow between Barron and Franklin.
Yeah. Yeah, Franklin ran away from South Warren. That game was not competitive.
It was a no contest. And like I said, if to beat a Franklin, you have to be able to handle the ball. Mm-hmm. And you have to have multiple ball handlers. And I think that's what gives Barron the best chance about pretty much against anybody. Mm-hmm. And you have to have a toughness too.
Yeah.
Because you can't shy away from contact, and every time somebody reaches in, you can't fall down or whine about the official. You have to play through contact and so forth to beat a physical team like Franklin who can just almost choke you down. Mm-hmm. And then you have to have somebody who's not afraid to get in there and match up with Cawthorn, their best player.
Yeah.
And Barron has not one, two. They probably have three players who can go in there and bang around with them. I think it should be a great game tomorrow. I would not, when Franklin is top 10 in the state, but I would make Franklin a favorite, but a small favorite. A small favorite. Well, I mean, you just saw the game 3 weeks ago. They went in overtime.
Yeah.
And I think Barron has a real shot to win.
Yep. Before we get out of here on this segment, two things. One is I wanted to mention that the Caverna Colonels won their first round game up at LaRue County,
Great
dramatic
game.
fashion.
Big win. Lost in the finals of the district, but they got the one they needed.
Yep. And then they'll play this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock our time at Marion County against Bardstown. That's a winnable game for them right there. So they start their run in the 5th region tournament. And then one other thing, back to the Marion County girls game, you'll be able to hear that game right here on 104.7 with Jay Turner on the call. I think pregame's at 6:15. We'll be right back with Caverna baseball coach Nick Wykoff. This is Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Back here on the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow with Caverna baseball coach Nick Wykoff. I was thinking this was the case that you had played at Caverna about the same window of time as Derek Self and those guys, which was a pretty good window of time for Caverna baseball. You guys were pretty good during that stretch.
Yeah, we were pretty competitive. I think it was my either freshman and sophomore year we went to region. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've been back since, but hoping to change that.
So how did you wind up becoming the baseball coach at Caverna? Because this is your first year there for the folks who don't actually know that.
Yeah, well, actually, last year I was an assistant, but yeah, it's my first year as the head guy of the program. Not gonna lie, my younger brother Eric Wykoff, he played there on the mid-20 teams, but kind of one up me. He was an assistant coach 3 years ago, and then kind of helped him out a couple practices. Kind of got that itch, and my son's also a sophomore, so. Okay. Just getting to spend more time with him, getting to share my knowledge and love of the game. So just trying to give back any way I can, and being from a small community, definitely have many opportunities, both good and bad from the standpoint of you have those opportunities just because you have a small pool of people to pull from. And so any time I can give back, I try to take advantage of those opportunities.
So what is the most important thing you think that you can do as a coach to kind of get this program rolling back in the right direction?
Just building the relationship and rapport with the players, getting them to buy in. And, if they don't trust you, it's really hard to get them to buy into that. Also, even bigger than baseball, bigger than sports, trying to give them those life isms that come along with the game as well, and show them how baseball or any sport for that fact really translate over to life, and how you can take different aspects and put that into your own life, building teamwork, continuity, finding your niche, playing your role, those sorts of things. So just trying to get that foundation built down so we can build upon that.
Now, are there some things you're doing to develop your pitchers and your hitting and that kind of thing?
Just been working in the off season with the guys not playing other sports, so they definitely have a leg up on the guys coming out from basketball and whatnot. But not to knock those guys from basketball, they're tremendous athletes, so they're gonna pick up and hit the ground running. But for the guys not playing sports, we've really put in a lot of work in the off season, and hopefully that'll pay off.
Do you have some guys that you're looking at as like your number 1, number 2, number 3 pitcher kind of situation?
Well, I mean, I can't spill the beans here and give away all my secrets, but we've got some younger guys coming up. Also to build off of some of the older guys, Connor Ray, he's kind of been a staple of the program the past few years. We're going to lean on him. He's going to be our leader, our senior leader. Hoping to get Russell Williams out, one of the star basketball players. We'll take any athletes we can get, and we'll find them a place on the field. And then some of the younger guys, some of our freshmen, Carter Riley. For instance, he's played a lot of catchers, so being catcher, having that other side of the plate mentality, we're going to try to translate that over to the rubber as well.
I recall during that time when you were playing, a lot of the guys who were on the basketball team also played baseball, as I recall, so took that athleticism and put it on the field, and probably that was one of the reasons you guys were good in that window of time.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And then, we came up together, played a lot of ball on the side, baseball, basketball. Now in my older age, we've translated that over to golf and a lot less stress on our bodies. But, being a small school from Caverna, got to field the teams with players from all sports. And honestly, I feel, and this is just my opinion, the AAU circuit, people would argue, locking down to one sport and focusing on that may be best. But I feel like you get to see things from different sides or different angles when you play different sports. It gives you a different mentality and a different vision on things. So, love to have guys playing different sports coming out, and brings fierce competitiveness too as well.
It's funny you should mention learning different things from different sports, because one of the things that always stands out to me is you learn how to drop step and catch a fly ball right from the 45, and because if you learn how to do that, then that's a thing you can use in every sport you play in.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's always the drop step and slam is definitely a highlight, but that drop step does come into play in baseball, like you said, especially in the outfield. Trying to field fly balls. You want that kind of first step back, pause, judge where you're at. Also, taking things from like the football side of things, you can throw a football, you're probably going to be able to throw a baseball.
Right.
And we've got some good football players too as well out of Caverna, a lot of good skill players, and so we've got some of those guys on the team as well.
Now, did you set up the schedule, or did you inherit the schedule?
A mix of both.
Okay.
Just trying to get some teams that we can be competitive with. We know we're going to have our work cut out in district. LaRue's always a beast, even going back to my days of playing. Greene County's really stepped up their game. Got a A+ field as well. That turf's nice. And then Hart's going to have some athletes as well, and they're no slouch. So I try to build around that, knowing that in district we were going to have tough games. So try to play some teams out in the state, and even venturing down to the Nashville area and playing a team down there as well that we feel that we can be competitive with.
How important is it to have a schedule where you guys can, mentioning that competitiveness, have an opportunity where you put them on the field with some teams and you're like, all right, we have a chance to win this game, and then maybe that builds some, I don't know, motivation or positivity in the players? Yeah,
no doubt. You definitely want to build that momentum. Kind of going back to, I played multiple sports in school, and, still in basketball season, I heard you talk about Rupp Arena in Kentucky. They're on a downward slide. Hate to see it. Boo-hoo. But, I'm a Cards guy myself, and they're on, a trajectory upward as well. And so same mentality, building off of those wins, building off of those, I hate to say moral victories, but being able to take, even away from a loss, good things, being able to build upon that. We want to go to distance, try to, play seven inning games, try to avoid those 3 and 5 inning games. The more you get to play, the more you're going to build, the more you're going to grow. So definitely trying to play teams that we can be competitive with, and maybe the next few years try to build in or incorporate some of those more challenging teams. Like I said, we're going to have our challenges with district, so trying to go out of conference or out of region and try to play some more competitive teams.
I guess one of the things that may be a focus for you, because you've mentioned it in terms of like getting some of the basketball players to come out and play and that kind of stuff, is getting the numbers up for the program. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you go about doing that?
Well, going back to, those opportunities, because you got a small pool to pull from, and so that's one of the challenges that we face. Just trying to coach them up, love them up, trying to embrace them, trying to, hey, come out, play with us, give it a shot, see what you got. Worst case scenario, you're in the same position that you were before you started the season and find out that, maybe baseball is not your sport, but that's perfectly fine. You don't know till you know. And so just trying to get them to come out and trying to, buy into the heritage that Caverna has, got 2 state championships under our belt, kind of ancient history, but still you can't take them away. Mm-hmm. Caverna's got a rich baseball history.
Yeah, I guess that's something that people forget that exists out there, that they have to be reminded of that fact.
Yeah, it definitely predates me by quite a few years, but, it's definitely one of those trivia moments. Hey, what school in the area has 2 state championships? Caverna. Not many schools can say that around here.
Well, and a guy who played in the World Series.
Yeah.
Or 2 of them, actually.
Yeah,
they played
no
in the
doubt.
World Series.
Yeah, the Doyle brothers, they're, they have a name and a legacy in the area. Mm-hmm. We want to make them proud and continue to build off the legacy that they've left before us.
Yeah. Anything else you want folks to know about Caverna baseball?
Our first game is March 17th. We're opening up against Evanston. Come out, support us. Also, if you guys would like to get involved with the program at all, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Nick Wykoff. I don't know if I put my phone number out here or not.
Oh, you can if you like.
Well, just hit me up on Facebook. There's not too many Wykoffs roaming around here. So
spell your last name for them, though.
Yeah. That is Wykoff. Wykoff.
Yeah, I figured most people don't realize the K is actually in there.
Yeah, it's not a C. Phonetically, it's the same, but not a C, it's a K.
Right. All right. Well, Coach Wykoff, thank you for joining us here on the Brown Sports Bag and talking to us about Colonel's baseball.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
You're welcome. This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow.
Thanks for listening, and be sure and join James and John once again next Monday at 4 for the Brown Sports Bag, a local weekly sports machine presented by McDonald's of Glasgow.